Chosen one, stop scrolling right now and do not swipe this away because your Father in heaven just interrupted your feed on purpose. This did not reach you by accident. He has been trying to place a warning in your hands for a long time, and it is about your Father, the first one, the earthly one. And the moment I said that word, something moved in your chest, because part of you has quietly feared becoming him, and another part of you is still that child who waited for him. Before you brace, hear the tone of this. Heaven is not warning you to make you hate the man. It is warning you because a pattern traveled down your family line, one nobody ever said out loud, and it has been running your life from underneath. You once swore you would never repeat it. Tonight, you find out why that very vow has kept it alive, and you find out something greater, that you are the one it was always meant to stop with, and that the Father in heaven wants to re-father the places the first one could never reach. I want you to notice how you arrived here. You were moving past 100 other things, and you stopped on this one. Something in you slowed and leaned in, the way a person leans toward a warm room after being cold for a long time. That leaning is not curiosity. That is a part of you that has been waiting a very long time to be spoken to directly. So, let me speak directly. The relationship you had with your earthly father, whether he was present or absent, gentle or harsh, silent or gone, became the first lens through which you learned to see love, safety, and even God. And that lens has been quietly bending everything you have looked at ever since. If even that first sentence found something real in you, then before we go deeper, do one thing. In the comments, simply write, "I am listening," not for me, for the child in you who is finally being addressed. Because when you name that you are listening, that inner child hears it too, and something in you sits up. Write it, "I am listening," and stay close. Let me tell you what a warning like this actually is, because if you misunderstand it, you will do what you have always done. You will close the door on the whole subject. When it comes to our fathers, most of us have built a sealed room. We put everything in there: the disappointment, the longing, the anger, the excuses we made for him, and we welded the door shut and told ourselves we had moved on. So, when heaven says the word Father, your instinct is to guard that door. I am asking you, just for these few minutes, to unlock it. Not to tear it open, just to unlock it. Because the Father in heaven never sends a warning to shame you. He sends it to heal you before the wound decides your future for you. A warning is not an accusation. A warning is love arriving early. You do not warn someone you have given up on. You warn someone whose life you are still fighting for. And the fact that this reached you tonight means heaven is still fighting for the parts of your story that the first father left unfinished. He did not close the book on you. He is turning to the chapter everyone else skipped. So here is the first truth, and I want you to receive it slowly. The way your earthly father related to you taught your nervous system what to expect from love long before you had words for it. If he was distant, you may have learned that love is something you have to earn by achieving, and you have been exhausting yourself for approval ever since. If he was unpredictable, you may have learned that peace never lasts, so you brace even in good seasons, waiting for the other shoe. If he was absent entirely, you may have learned that the people who are supposed to stay do not, and so you either cling to people too tightly or you leave before they can. None of that was a choice you made. It was a lens you were handed. And here is where it becomes the thing heaven wants to warn you about. That lens did not stay in childhood. It grew up with you. It followed you into your marriage, your friendships, your work, and most painfully, into your image of God. Because the very first father you ever knew shaped what the word Father means in your body. And so when someone tells you that your Father in heaven is good and near and delighted in you, part of you nods and another part of you cannot feel it, because that part is still reading the word Father through the man who first wore the title. That is the interference. That is what tonight is about. There is a name for what I am describing, and once you have it, you will see it everywhere in your life. I want you to call it the Father line. It is the invisible line that runs from him, through you, and toward everyone who comes after you, carrying not just his features, but his patterns, his silences, his wounds, and the way he did or did not love. You did not ask to stand on that line. You were simply born onto it. But tonight, you learn that where you stand on it is not where it has to end, because a line can be broken, and the one who breaks it is almost never the one who started it. It is the one brave enough to finally feel it. Now, let me answer the question that has haunted you in your quietest moments, the one you may have never said out loud to anyone. Why, after everything, do you sometimes catch a flash of him in yourself? A tone in your voice, a coldness that comes over you when you are hurt, a way of going silent, or of controlling, or of running, that you recognize with a sick feeling because it is his. You swore you would never be like him, and yet there are moments the mirror shows you his reflection wearing your face, and it terrifies you. Tonight I'm going to explain the mechanism, and understanding it will begin to loosen its grip. Here is the strange truth that almost no one is taught. The vow you made, I will never be like him, is one of the main reasons his pattern survived in you. Read that again in your spirit. When you were young and you were hurt, you did not just feel pain. You made a decision about that pain. I will never do that. I will never be cold like that. I will never abandon like that. And that vow felt like protection. But a vow made in pain keeps you fixated on the very thing you are running from. What you resist, you rehearse. You spent so many years watching for his pattern so you could avoid it that you memorized it by heart. And the mind moves toward what it studies. There is a second layer, and it is even deeper. The wound your father left created a specific hunger in you, and unmet hunger does not disappear. It goes looking. If he did not give you approval, you may spend your life performing for it, from bosses, partners, followers, anyone who might finally say, well done. If he did not give you safety, you may either build walls so high no one can reach you, or you may hand your whole heart to the first person who offers a crumb of stability, because you are starving. The pattern does not repeat because you are like him. It repeats because the hole he left is still shaped exactly like a father, and you keep trying to fill a father-shaped emptiness with things that were never designed to fit. And now I have to name the most painful place this reaches, because it is the one that has quietly cost you the most. It has shaped how you experience God. You have heard, maybe your whole life, that God is a good father, and you have wanted to believe it. But when you try to draw near to him, you may feel a strange resistance, a sense that you have to perform to be accepted, or a fear that he is disappointed in you, or a quiet suspicion that he, too, will eventually leave or grow cold. That is not God showing you his true face. That is you meeting God through the shadow of the first father you knew. You have been worshipping the good father while flinching from him at the same time, and you never understood why. This is why. Let me give you a way to tell the difference, because this is the heart of your freedom. When you sense a father who is impossible to please, who withholds affection until you earn it, who is quick to point out your failure and slow to speak your worth, that is not the voice of your Father in heaven. That is the echo of the Father line. The true Father does not lead with your failure. He leads with your belonging. He does not say, "Earn your place." He says, "You already have one." He is not cold when you fall. He runs toward you while you are still far off, the way the father in the old story ran to the son who had wasted everything and did not even let the boy finish his rehearsed apology before wrapping him in a robe. If the father you feel is stingy with love, you are hearing the shadow. If the father you feel is extravagant with it, you are finally hearing him. Do you feel what just happened? For your whole life you have blended two fathers into one, and you could not tell where the man ended and where God began. Tonight we are separating them, and when they are finally separated, you will be able to love the man honestly, wounds and all, and receive the Father freely, without the fear that never belonged to him in the first place. If that just untangled something in you, mark it here, because your spirit remembers what your hands confirm. In the comments, write the words, "He is not my father wound." Say it as a release. He, the Father in heaven, is not the shadow I inherited. Write it. He is not my father wound. And let it begin to break the confusion that has followed you into every prayer. I know that for some of you, a defense is rising right now. You are thinking, "My father did his best," or you are thinking the opposite. "My father does not deserve this much of my attention." Hold both of those gently. This is not about blaming him, and it is not about excusing him. Your father was almost certainly standing on the same line you are, carrying a wound handed to him by his own father, doing, with a broken tool, what he was never taught to do well. Understanding that does not erase what you needed and did not get, but it does something important. It lets you stop hating him and start grieving, and grieving is the doorway that hating keeps locked. You cannot break a line you are still at war with. You can only break a line you have finally forgiven. Let me show you the two shapes this wound takes, because you will recognize yourself in one of them, and seeing it clearly is the beginning of loosening its grip. The father line does not produce one kind of person. It produces two, and they look like opposites, though they grow from the very same root. The first shape is the striver. If your father withheld his approval, or gave it only when you performed, you may have become someone who cannot stop earning. You achieve, and it is never enough. You get the praise you chased, and it evaporates within hours, leaving you already reaching for the next thing that might finally make you feel like enough. You are exhausted, but you cannot rest, because rest feels like falling. And somewhere underneath it all is a small child still trying to do something impressive enough to make a distant father finally look up and smile. The world calls you driven. Heaven sees a tired child who was told, without words, that love is a wage and not a gift. The second shape is the wall builder. If your father was unsafe or unpredictable or simply gone, you may have decided long ago that the safest thing is to need no one. You are competent, self-contained, the one who holds everyone else together. But intimacy makes you uneasy. The moment someone gets close enough to matter, a part of you begins planning the exit, because you learned early that the people who are supposed to stay do not, and it is safer to leave first than to be left again. The world calls you independent. Heaven sees a child who built a fortress around a wound and has been living alone inside it ever since. Whichever shape is yours, hear this. Underneath both the striving and the walls is the same thing, an orphan spirit. Not orphan in the literal sense, orphan in the deepest sense, the felt sense that there is no one whose love you can simply rest in, no one whose approval you already have, no father whose house is unconditionally yours. The orphan spirit is always working, always guarding, always proving, always bracing, because it does not believe, down in the wiring, that it truly belongs anywhere. And that spirit did not come from nowhere, it came down the line. But here is the turning, and I want you to receive it slowly. The opposite of an orphan is not an achiever, and it is not a fortress. The opposite of an orphan is a child who knows they have a father. That is the whole healing in one sentence. You do not overcome the orphan spirit by striving harder or building higher. You overcome it by being adopted at the deepest level, by letting the true father move into the empty house and make it his, until the reflex to earn and the reflex to run both slowly quiet down, because the thing they were protecting you from has already been healed. I want you to put a hand on your own chest for a moment, right where the striving or the guarding lives. Feel it rising and falling. That part of you has worked so hard for so long to keep you safe and to make you worthy. Thank it. It was doing its best with the only strategy it knew, and then, gently, tell it the truth it has never fully believed. You can rest now. Someone strong enough has finally come. You do not have to hold the whole line up alone anymore. Feel, even a little, what it would be to let that be true. That softening you feel, however small, is the orphan spirit beginning to trust. It will not happen all at once. It has been on guard your entire life. But tonight it heard something. It has been waiting decades to hear. And a part of you that has never once relaxed just let out a breath. Stay in that. We are almost to the peace that helps it hold. So let me take you to the grief, because it is the ground where the line finally breaks, and most people spend their whole lives walking around it. You have been so busy being strong, so busy proving you turned out fine, so busy not becoming him, that you never let yourself simply mourn the father you needed and did not fully have. That grief is not weakness. That grief is holy. It is the honest acknowledgement that you deserved more than you received, and that the lack was real, and that a part of you is still small and still aching over it. You cannot heal what you will not first feel. I want to give you permission that no one may have ever given you. You are allowed to grieve a father who is still alive. You are allowed to grieve one you loved. You are allowed to hold two true things at once, that he did the best he could with what he had, and that his best still left you with a wound. Those do not cancel each other. Maturity is the ability to carry both in the same hand without dropping either. The child in you needs you to stop defending him long enough to admit that it hurt. Only then can the healing reach the place that actually needs it. Let me show you a man from the old stories who stood exactly where you stand, on a broken family line, and became the one who ended it. His name was Joseph. His own brothers, the family that should have protected him, betrayed him and sold him into slavery. If anyone had a right to let bitterness harden into a family curse, it was him. Years passed. He suffered. He rose. And when at last he stood before the very brothers who had wounded him, holding all the power to destroy them, he wept instead. And he said something that only a person who has broken the line can say. What you meant for harm, God meant for good. He did not pretend the harm was not real. He named it plainly. But he refused to let it have the final word in his story, or in the generations that came after him. That is the assignment on your life, chosen one. Not to pretend the wound did not happen, but to become the Joseph of your family line. The one who felt it fully, forgave it truly, and refused to pass it down. The one about whom the generations after you will say, the pattern stopped there. It stopped with them. Do you understand what an honor that is? The most wounded one is often chosen to be the healer, because only the one who felt the break knows exactly where to mend it. Take a breath with me here, because your body has been holding a great deal. Wherever you are, let your shoulders drop. Unclench your jaw. Put a hand on your own chest if you can. the way someone should have done for you when you were small. Feel your own heartbeat. That heartbeat has kept faith with you through every year no one else did. In this moment, right here, you are not that abandoned child anymore. You are the adult who came back for them, and you are not alone in the room. The Father in heaven is nearer than your own breath, and he is not going anywhere. Now, let me show you the future on the other side of this healing, because you need to see her or him before you can walk toward it. I want you to picture a version of yourself 1 year from now who let this warning do its work. Watch how they move through the world. There is a settledness in them that was never there before, a sense of being fathered from the inside, so that they no longer beg the world for the approval they once chased. When someone withdraws affection, it no longer devastates them, because their worth is no longer hostage to another person handing it over. They can be around their own father, if he is living, without being pulled back into the old child role, because they are not starving anymore. Watch them pray. The flinch is gone. They come to God not bracing for disappointment but expecting welcome, because they have finally met the true Father and stopped confusing him with the shadow. And watch the ones who come after them, the children literal or spiritual in their life, growing up on ground that was cleared, inheriting a blessing instead of a wound, never knowing the weight their parent lifted so they would not have to carry it. That person is not a fantasy. That is you, refathered, one act of grieving and forgiving away. But I have to be honest with you now, because I can feel the resistance rising even as you picture that freedom. Something in you is whispering that this is too big to actually change, that you have tried to forgive before and the feelings came right back. That knowing all of this is one thing, but that the pattern is older than your memory and buried deeper than your will can reach. And here is the hard truth. That whisper is partly right. Because the father line does not live in the part of you that makes decisions. It lives underneath it, in the wiring that was set before you could speak. And that is exactly why understanding, by itself, has never been enough to free you. There is a missing piece, something that reaches the level where the pattern actually lives, and without it, everything you have felt tonight will fade back into the old grooves by next week. Stay with me, because that missing piece is what I am about to put in your hands. Before I put that piece in your hands, I promised you I would not leave you with only a diagnosis, so let me give you the practical wisdom for the road, the part almost no one teaches about breaking a family line. Because you can feel all of this deeply tonight and still wake up next week reacting exactly as you always have. Insight fades, practice remains. So here is what actually breaks the line. The first thing you must understand is that forgiveness is a decision, not a feeling. You have tried to forgive your father by waiting to feel forgiving, and that day never fully arrives, so you conclude you have failed. But forgiveness does not begin as an emotion. It begins as a choice you make before the feeling catches up. You are not saying what he did was acceptable. You are saying, I release my right to collect a debt he can never fully repay, because carrying that debt is costing me my future. You may have to make that choice 100 times, every time the memory rises. That is not failure. That is how forgiveness is built, one repeated decision at a time, until one day you notice the charge is gone. The second thing is that you must learn to reparent the child you were. This sounds strange until you try it. When the old ache rises, when you feel that familiar hunger for approval or that terror of abandonment, do not shame it and do not obey it. Speak to it. Tell that younger part of you the words they never heard. You are safe now. I am not going to leave you. You do not have to earn your place with me. It feels awkward at first. Do it anyway, because the wound was relational and only something relational can heal it. You become, for the child you were, the steady presence your father could not be. And slowly, that child stops running the show. The third thing is the hardest, and it concerns your father if he is still living. Breaking the line does not always mean confronting him, and it never means waiting for him to finally become the man you needed so that you can be free. He may never become that man. Your healing cannot be held hostage to his change. You can honor him and still set a boundary. You can love him and still stop handing him the power to reopen the wound at will. Some of you need to have a conversation with him. Some of you need to have that conversation only with God, because the man is gone, or unsafe, or unwilling. Both can heal. Your freedom was never actually in his hands. It was in the Father who stands above the whole line. Let me tell you about a woman, and I will keep her anonymous because her story is her own. She grew up with a father who was there in body, but gone in every way that mattered. A man who never once said he was proud of her. She spent 30 years achieving, collecting degrees and titles and applause, and none of it ever filled the silence where his voice should have been. She told me the turning point was not a dramatic reconciliation. He never changed. The turning point was the night she stopped waiting for him to. She grieved the father she never had. She forgave the man he actually was. And she began letting the Father in heaven speak the words over her that her earthly father never could. Within a year, she said, she caught herself doing something she had not done in decades. Resting, not performing, simply resting, as a daughter who no longer had to prove she was worth keeping. That can be your story too, not because your father changes, but because you finally let the true one father you. Now hear the deeper truth underneath all three of these, because it is the thing your spirit most needs. You keep thinking the goal is to heal your relationship with your father. That is a beautiful thing, if it is possible, but it is not the deepest goal. The deepest goal is to heal the wound in you that his absence or his harshness left, so that whether or not he ever changes, the line stops here. Because if that wound stays open, you will keep unconsciously handing it down in the way you love, in the way you withhold, in the way you are present or absent for the ones who look to you. The warning is a mercy precisely because it comes in time to stop that. You are being given the chance to be the repair in your bloodline instead of the relay. If that word just landed somewhere deep, mark it, because heaven honors what you confirm. In the comments, write the words, "The line stops with me." Say it as a vow, the good kind this time, made not in pain but in power. Write it, "The line stops with me," and let us walk the rest of the way toward the peace that makes it possible. So, let me say the whole thing to you now in the plainest words I have, no story and no image, because you deserve to understand this like a doctor explaining your own body. Here is the why. You keep repeating pieces of your father or starving from his absence, not because you are weak or ungrateful, but because the pattern was wired into you before you could speak, in the part of the brain that forms beneath memory. Here is the what. Forgiveness, insight, and even prayer reach the thinking mind, but the father line does not live in the thinking mind. It lives underneath it, in the wiring that reacts before you can choose. And here is the who. You are a person whose spirit is ready and whose eyes are now open, but whose inner wiring still needs to be brought into alignment so that your new understanding can finally become your new instinct. That gap between the truth you now see and the reactions that still fire automatically is the most exhausting gap a person can live in. It is why you can forgive on Sunday and feel the old rage rise on Monday. And closing that gap is not a matter of trying harder. Willpower is the thinking mind shouting at the reacting mind, and the reacting mind has never once obeyed a shout. It only changes when the signal underneath it changes. You have carried this line long enough. and you have just done the bravest part, which is to feel it instead of fleeing it. So in the comments, claim what is beginning. Write the words, "I am being refathered," present tense, because it starts now, in this honesty. Write it, and let me hand you the missing piece. You now know what has been running beneath your choices. The only question left is what reaches it. The wound is named. The line is visible. What remains is how to heal the level where it actually lives. All night I have described two fathers blended into one, a reacting mind and a knowing mind that will not sync, a signal you have had to strain to hear. That is not only a metaphor, there is a physical reason it feels exactly like that. The part of you that carries the old fear and the part of you that receives peace and clear guidance are governed by the two hemispheres of your brain. And in most people who carry an early wound, those two halves fire out of sync. One side runs the inherited alarm. The other holds your intuition and your rest. When they are not synchronized, you get precisely the life you have lived. Knowing you are loved with one half and bracing for abandonment with the other. This is where I want to gently place something in your hands, only if your spirit resonates. There is a tool created by a neurologist in New York named Dr. Daniel Barone, and it is called the Genius Switch. It is not a course, and it asks nothing of you. It is an 8-minute audio sequence built on what is called neural sync technology, designed to bring the two hemispheres into alignment, the same whole brain synchronization uncovered by the Nobel Prize-winning research of Dr. Roger Sperry on the divided brain. In plain words, it helps quiet the inherited alarm, so the voice of the true father comes through without the old static bending it. Let me tell you why this matters, for the exact thing we have walked through tonight. When your two hemispheres come into sync, the reacting mind stops overriding the knowing mind. The automatic pull of the father line loosens, not because you forced it, but because the wiring underneath it finally settled. One woman, in Manhattan, described using it to break a pattern that had run in her family for generations. She said it was the first time forgiveness actually held instead of slipping away by morning. More than 18,000 ordinary people have now used it, sitting quietly for 8 minutes a day with their eyes closed, letting the sequence do beneath their awareness what years of effort could never reach. Now, honesty requires me to speak about the cost, because I never want you to feel pressured. Those who worked with Dr. Barone said something this effective should sell for around $500, and against a lifetime of the father line, it would be, on the official page it is listed at $49, but on the page linked for you in the description and pinned comment, it is offered right now for $39. And it is protected by a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee, which means you can use it for as long as you need. And if it does not bring you the quiet it brought so many others, you write one email and every dollar returns to you. You risk nothing but the chance that this is the piece you have been missing. I have to be truthful about one more thing. In the same spirit of discernment, this whole message has carried. This tool is only available through that one official page. The imitations scattered elsewhere do not carry the same technology, the same guarantee, or the gifts that come with it. Just as a wounded heart can mistake a counterfeit comfort for real fathering, the world will always offer a cheap imitation of a real healing. Apply the discernment you have been learning all night here too. If your spirit says yes, the honest link waits in the description and pinned at the top of the comments. If it does not, take everything else I have given you and walk in it freely. Either way, you leave here more whole than you came. Whatever you decide about that, do not miss the larger thing that just happened. You finally understand why knowing was never enough, and why alignment, not effort, is the doorway to a line that finally breaks. Now, let me speak directly over the child in you and seal this into something that will hold long after this message ends. Before this message ends, I am going to speak something over your life, so do not leave yet. But first, I want to lead you through something with your own heart and mind, because a warning that is only heard fades by morning, while a warning that is lived becomes a new instinct. So wherever you are, if it is safe, I want you to close your eyes and come with me. If you are moving or driving, simply let these words paint on the inside of you. I want you to picture yourself as a child, not an idea of a child, you. The age you were when you first understood that something was missing, when you first felt the ache for a father who was more present, more gentle, more there. See that small one clearly. See their eyes. See the way they learned too early to be quiet, or to be good, or to be strong, so they would not be a burden. That child has been waiting a very long time for someone to come back for them. Now I want you to see a light entering the room where that child is, warm and steady and unhurried. It is the presence of your Father in heaven, the true one, the one who was always there even in the years it felt like no one was. Watch him kneel down to the height of that child, the way your Father may never have done, and watch him speak the words that child has needed to hear for their entire life. I see you. I am proud of you. You did not do anything wrong. You were always worth staying for, and I am not going to leave. Let those words land, not as poetry, but as something being deposited into the oldest and most tender part of you. Some of you are feeling something rise in your throat right now. Do not push it down. That is decades of unmet longing finally being met. Let the child in you be held. Let them cry if they need to. You are not being weak. You are being healed at the exact depth the wound was made. Now, still in that light, I want you to bring the image of your earthly father to mind, not to accuse him, to release him. See him not as the giant he was when you were small, but as he truly was, a man standing on the same broken line, handed a wound by his own father, doing with a broken tool what no one taught him to do. And from this place of being fathered by heaven, from a place of finally having enough, I want you to offer him the thing that breaks the line. Say it in your spirit as I speak it. I forgive you. I release the debt you could never pay. I am not waiting for you to become who I needed anymore. I let you be who you were, and I let myself be free. And now, watch the line itself, that invisible cord running from him, through you, toward everyone who comes after you. See where the old pattern traveled down it, the silence, the coldness, the absence, the hunger, and from this place of power, not pain, I want you to speak over that line the words only a cycle breaker can speak. It stops with me. What was handed down does not get handed on. The generations behind me carried it. The generations ahead of me will not. It stops tonight with me. Feel what just happened in your body. There is more room in you now. A weight you have carried since before you had words for it has begun to lift off your shoulders. That is not your imagination. That is what it feels like when a line breaks. It does not feel like fireworks. It feels like a strange, spacious quiet, like a room after a sound you had stopped noticing finally stops. Breathe into that quiet. It is the sound of a signal, clear at last. Now, in this settled place, I want to lead you through a release, and I want you to say the words with me, in your spirit or under your breath, because your own voice, agreeing with heaven, carries a weight my voice alone never could. I release the longing for a father who could not give what he did not have. I release it. I release the vow that kept his pattern alive in me. I release it. I release the belief that I must earn my place to be loved. I release it. I release the fear that everyone who should stay will eventually leave. I release it. I release my father, with honesty and with mercy, into the hands of the one who understands us both. I release him, and I release the version of me that has been performing for a love I already have. I release her. I release him. I release the whole line, forever. Breathe. Feel how much lighter you are. That space is not emptiness. That space is the room your true self needs in order to finally live. You did not lose your father tonight. You gained the father you always needed, and you set down a weight you were never meant to carry one step further. Now lift your head, because there is one more thing you must do, and it is the most important act of this whole night. You have released what was false. Now you must declare what is true. A line that is broken stays broken only when the one who broke it stands up and names who they are now. So, name yourself. Say these with me, not as a wish, but as a fact your Father in heaven has already spoken over you. I am a chosen one, fathered by heaven, and no longer starving. I am not the wound that was handed to me. I am the one it stops with. I am not an orphan performing for scraps of love. I am a beloved child who already has a place. I am the repair in my bloodline, not the relay. I am refathered, resettled, and finally at rest. And every generation that comes after me will inherit the freedom I claimed tonight. Feel the truth of that in your spine. That is not you performing strength. That is your actual identity, uncovered from under a wound that was sitting on top of it since before you can remember. This is who you were always meant to be, and tonight you finally are. Chosen one. If you have walked this whole way with me, plant a flag in the ground of your own soul right now. In the comments, write the words, "I am the one it stops with." Let it be the first public step of a person who has decided that the pattern ends in their generation, because something powerful happens when you declare a thing where it can be witnessed. It stops being a private feeling you can quietly abandon, and it becomes a vow the whole cloud of witnesses heard you make. Write it, "I am the one it stops with," and let this community stand as witnesses to who you just became. And now I want to ask you to do something not for yourself, but for someone else. Somewhere out there tonight is a person carrying the exact wound you just laid down. Maybe it is a friend who never talks about their father, but flinches whenever the subject comes near. Maybe it is a sibling who inherited the same silence you did and does not have words for it. Maybe it is someone who has been trying to feel close to God for years and cannot understand the strange resistance they keep hitting, never realizing they have been reading the Father through the same shadow you just stepped out of. You have the words now, so become for them what heaven became for you tonight. Share this message with one person. You may already see their face. Do not add a lecture. Just send it and let the Father do with it what he just did with you. Some walls only come down when a person hears their own unspoken ache finally spoken by someone else. Your one share could be the moment a whole family line, not just yours, begins to break. And if these words have been a companion to you tonight, gently press the like, not for me, but so that this message reaches the next son or daughter who is silently waiting for it in their feed. And if you want to keep walking with a community of chosen ones who are learning to be fathered from the inside and to break what was handed to them, then stay close and join the thousands walking this road together. You were never meant to heal in isolation. The line breaks better in company. Let me leave you with the truth we began with, now that you can hold it without flinching. This message did not reach you by accident. You did not stumble onto it. Your Father in heaven rooted it to you at this exact hour because he loves you too much to let the wound of the first father quietly decide the rest of your life. The warning was real. The line was real. And so is the freedom now opening on the other side of what you released tonight. You came here afraid that a warning about your father meant more pain. You are leaving having been fathered at the deepest level pain ever reached you. You came carrying a line. You are leaving as the one who broke it. The static is lifting. The signal is yours. And the true father, the one who has never once left the room, is not going anywhere now that you have finally turned to let him hold you. Go gently. Walk forward as a beloved child, not a striving orphan. And when you catch a flash of the old pattern rising, do not despair. Simply return to the light. Let him father you again, and keep walking. The line is broken. It only has to stay broken one day at a time, and you are no longer doing it alone. You are seen. You are fathered. You are free, and it is sealed. Amen.